Hello, guys. Welcome back. Just waiting a couple of seconds. Everybody can join. Okay. Hey, guys. Welcome to PA Talks episode 38. My name is Hamid Hassanzadeh. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief of Parametric Architectural Platform. We're super excited for today's episode. And in a couple of seconds, I'm going to invite Erick Carcamo of Allblackform to join to this live session. But before going forward and inviting Erick, I just wanted to mention that please write down your questions in the question box down below. In case you wanted to ask anything from Erick Carcamo, please write your question box, and I'll be exploring the questions during the live session. In case you have anything to ask, write them in the question box down below. And also, we're going to discuss with Erick Carcamo about our upcoming studio, which is called Studio Erick Carcamo, which the topic is Architectural Follies. And the workshop studio is starting on Monday, 15th March. And it's going to take 4 weeks in a row, Monday and Thursday. And students are going to develop a project during the studio. So if you're interested to check out more details about the studio, go to our profile and click the link in our bio and get more information about this studio. And we're going to close registration in 24 hours. So if you're interested, just go and check the details. So thank you so much. Please stay with me since I'm inviting Erick to join. Okay. Hi, Erick.
Hey, hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, that's perfect. How are you doing?
Great. Good morning and good afternoon for you.
Yeah, good night in here.
That's right.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome to PA Talks episode 38. We're super excited to have you. And if you want to say hello to the audience, the mic is yours.
Yeah, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining and taking the time to look at this. It's really exciting to be part of this. This whole kind of pandemic has taken everybody into like a spin, and we're lucky that we have these platforms to still, perseverance, right? You have to adapt and communicate and keep going, and at the same time, we have the space that we didn't have before, which is even better. Everybody's even more connected. So
Yes.
Welcome and thank you for joining. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And to start, Erick, I just wanted to ask a little bit about introducing yourself and also about your architecture career, the teaching stuff, and tell us, our audience who don't know you, who is Erick Carcamo?
Sure. I'm a designer, trained as an architect, architecture schools. Started teaching right after when I finished my master's. It's been 12 years, 13 years. And it has led me to, many places in the world, Europe, Scandinavia, East Coast, West Coast. I'm based now in Los Angeles. And in a way, for me, teaching has become kind of second nature. Like it runs parallel with our design approach and design career. And, learning from all these different types of schools, from more traditional thinking to more forward thinking, always embedded into this kind of parametric architecture, digital design, which is the main meat. This is it, the new tools, right? But not only tools, I've been learning to teach for the last 12 years. How do we think with these tools? Right? So it's not just about that. I am a professor, sure, at universities. I've been at SciArc, I've been at the Angewandte, I've been at GSAP Columbia when I graduated my master's. I'm at Woodbury University now, Cal Poly. I mean, it has been a long kind of process of jumping around here and there, but that's kind of the nature of following your trajectory. And on parallel, we do have a design practice, which is called Allblackform. Allblackform, you know, it's a name, but Allblackform as a design agenda, it's a thinking process basically. Allblackform is an idea,
Yes.
and you know, we wear black all the time. Everybody looks at the black colors, right?
Architects wear black.
Black is not a color.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can talk deeper into why we named that, but I think it's more of a kind of represents our our thinking. You know, our thinking. It's a process. It's definitely a way to move your projects, a way of thinking.
Yes.
Nothing deeper than that. You know, it's not a
Yeah.
philosophical conversation either.
Absolutely. What are you doing with Allblackform?
We're designing. We have a couple of projects. Some that we're trying to build. It's a set of units in the desert. Small units, almost like getaway units. We also do a lot of research in looking into the softwares and what types of forms and geometries we can start to accommodate either for jewelry pieces or for small follies. You know, these are follies are a research project, right? Because
Yes.
they're almost an instrument of architecture that
Yes.
promotes an idea, and it can be inhabited and so on. And then also through the teaching, right? So we do a lot of different projects, different scales. And as I said, it's an idea. It's your computer basically. In your office, it's you, and especially now, you know, we can go places and we can work anywhere. We can connect it to people. So again, we go from larger projects, smaller projects, and we also collaborate with other firms and other designers to kind of put projects together as well. So we try to do everything, what we can.
Yeah, yeah, and also you're teaching with the Allblackform workshop kind of workshops as well, right?
Yes, yeah. So we try to do other workshops on our own. As in the past, we used to travel. You know, we met in Turkey.
Yeah.
So we used to travel different places, you
Yes.
know.
Yes, absolutely.
So for us, that was a lot of fun. And unfortunately, now the last year and a half, we haven't been doing that.
Yes.
But hopefully, it's gonna pick up, and we'll get to see everybody face to face. But for now, we have this. Everybody's now comfortable with this, you know, and with the camera and
Behind the
the
screen.
Zoom. And I'm gonna write a book that is called "You're on Mute," you know, or I can't hear you. Can you hear
I
me?
can't hear
Can you
you.
see this? Can you see this in the
Yeah.
screen? You know, it's like
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
new thing, the new thing. So
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
originally from El Salvador, so Spanish is my first language, my mother language. But I've lived in the United States for the most of my life. But again,
You were there, you came to US for education or how did it
no,
happen?
we moved from El Salvador here. It wasn't just for education. We made the whole move with my family, and that was I was 15 when I came here.
You grew up in Los Angeles?
I grew up mostly in Los Angeles. I lived in New York also for a long time through my career and teaching and going to school,
Yeah.
and then came back to LA.
Yeah, awesome. And you were working with Hanir as well, right? Hanir Rashid?
Yes, when I was in New York, I was working for Accenture Architecture, Hani Rashid. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And can you also discuss about the idea of digital parametric computational design and since this past 20 years, how they impacted the design capabilities of architects and designers?
Yeah, I mean, this is a crucial moment, you know, for I think now everyone as a designer is now on kind of cruise control mode. It's almost like the flight has taken and you're on the flight, right? And everybody's aware of digital design, computational design, however you want to call it. And of course, parametric design, I think it's an idea. Computational design is actually the technique and the things you use to convey
Yes.
those ideas. Parametric architecture it's the end, is why you're doing it, not how you're doing it. So the last 20 years have changed drastically, not only the academic teaching side, but also the profession. When kids go to school and learn all the techniques and the things that computational design, digital design, then they get out, either they start their own practice, or they go work for somebody as a design firm or any firm. So they bring those skills there. Therefore, that thinking starts to be implemented in the early 2000s, even before, right? Before it was more into
Research or yeah.
research, right? More academic, but still those people that are started all of this are still in the game, and they have evolved so much into something else. But at the beginning, it was all about who can do the best kind of curve, right? Or, oh, that's cool. That's how do you do that? But everybody was kind of scrambling to know, how do we speak about this? How do we conceptualize something like this? How do I conceptualize or prove that a box is better than a blob? A soft geometry is better than a box. How do you prove that? How do you talk to your client? How do you promote that? So that was part of the beginning of all of this. And obviously, very smart people and people in the game started post-conceptualizing, understanding, putting processes together, understanding that parametric architecture, it's a process, it's an idea, it's a way of thinking. Obviously, everything is involved: a client, money, time, and everything that it's related to architecture thinking in the logistical part, not intellectual part. It's all involved. But then the intellect, as parametric, it starts to evolve. Then eventually, throughout the years, has gotten a little more normal, let's say. Normal in the sense that everybody's aware of it. Before, it was like it hit the schools, it hit everything, and everybody's saying, what is happening? What is all of this? But there's so many different architects and designers who came out of that kind of clash. Now everybody's aware. Now a lot of people know the softwares. They know how to do it. So it's not a mystery anymore. But now it's more of a better conversation, right? Because the intellect now has spread everywhere.
Absolutely.
And I think, we can continue with that conversation for a while, but I think everybody has also their own view about what parametric architecture. My view, I think it's an idea. It's an intellect approach.
Absolutely. Talking about education, Eric, you've been teaching in different universities, and during that 4 or 6 period of the education, with students take these programs in the universities, different universities, and they're not somehow well trained to become ready for the practice. And also there's always a deep gap between education and practice. Like after the graduation, they're not completely or easily absorbed to the industry, and they have to sacrifice themselves for 1 at least or 2 years to find the right path or to find the right office to start working with. What do you think is the problem in education, architecture education, or where is the problem with that? Because you've been teaching in universities, why we see these big gaps between education and industry?
I think partly is because a lot of the times students feel that when you finish school, you're an architect, and which is being an architect is a very different thing than finishing school as a designer. Becoming an architect takes years, right? Years of practice, knowledge. I can even claim that I'm an architect, or at least the one I would imagine I want to be, right? I mean, I'm still in baby steps. I don't believe you become an architect until you're 40 or 50. I would say 50 because I'm over 40 now. So I would say 50. And that's nothing to be, to feel bad about, because this is a whole process of learning, right? So going back to the question, a lot of times the students feel that they're ready to take any office, and a lot of times they are. But to me, it's a matter of what you want to do with that career. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go work? If you can't confuse or mix the idea that a professional is the same as an academic thinker, right? So when you go to architecture school, you learn how to think. You learn how to think about architecture. You learn how to intellectualize architecture, the idea of what exists in the past and so on. Now, what you need in an office are skills to draw, to represent,
Absolutely.
to talk to a client. There's so many things involved in the professional work, which a student, the most prepared student is the one that has the skills and understands the background of architecture thinking. Now, a lot of the times, offices are looking for just skills, just someone who can draw. And for that, you don't have to go to school for that. You can just go to a technical school, learn AutoCAD, learn Rhino to create a plan. That's it. And then somebody's going to tell you, draw it like this, draw it like that, without thinking. So a lot of the time, offices are looking for that. And sometimes students, obviously you have to start somewhere, right? But at the same time, there's a disconnect in the kind of how ready the student is intellectually and technically and what the offices are looking for. A lot of the times you do go to an office that is going to take you because of your thinking. I mean, your portfolio is the most important thing. This is what you represent. Either are you more of a technical, it depends on what the portfolio. Is it more of a technical portfolio? Is it more of a thinker portfolio? I think it has to be mixed. I don't know if there's an actual issue. It could be also the times or the amount of people that are looking for this. It's a hard, it's a difficult question. And I also feel like there are offices that will take you right away. There are offices that will take you because of your thinking, because of your skills. Obviously, the way you can sell yourself is not through thinking, it's through representation, what you have in your portfolio. How do you represent ideas? This is what architecture is. The best way to represent ideas.
Absolutely. Amazing. And talking about our studio, which is going to start on Monday,
Yeah,
2
exciting.
days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exciting studio Erick Carcamo. Can you talk about this studio, which is the topic is Architectural Follies? What are the students going to be learning in this studio and how the process will work with them?
Yeah, so this is a studio, right? It's like a longer seminar. It's workshops. Let's say that workshops are embedded in the studio, right? This is not a full workshop of just technique. We have to be clear about this. This is about thinking, right? As we were describing. This is about understanding a process. We are going to learn technique. I will show software. Every meeting, we're going to show software. I'm going to cover Maya from basics to animations, to dynamics, to representation, even some rendering, right? So we're going to go through a whole kind of expertise of rules. I'm going to show some Rhino as well. And I mentioned these softwares because these are the tools that we have, and these are the best tools that I can show you to make you think about your design. So, remember we were discussing what do we do the studios about? What are the seminars about?
Absolutely.
And I feel like we arrived at this solution of the follies because a folly is basically an eye catcher, right? It's there's no particular scale for it. It's a very similar to a pavilion.
Yes.
But pavilions, I feel like they're a bit. Everybody does a pavilion. Everybody does a pavilion. Pavilion, I feel like it's quite similar, but the follies, I feel like they could be a bit more silly, I would say.
Yeah, more silly stuff. Because we have a good. You wrote me a good definition of a folly that we added in the program as well. Yeah, it's like a more silly way of a pavilion, or
because
right?
Also I feel like we have a seminar of 8 meetings, right? So 4 hours per meeting, 1 month. This is actually a seminar, like an actual studio thinking, right? So we're gonna run it the same way I have learned to teach at the schools here in the USA and then in Europe. So it's a design process. So we're gonna use tools like obviously Rhino. If we can use some Photoshop and Illustrator. This also depends on people have available to them. I know that we can have available Maya and Rhino. Everybody can have that. These are free softwares. At least they're free for trial. And for the period of the seminar, everybody can have Rhino and Maya. So we're gonna go into deep how to create form, how to understand form, how to speak about form. But the idea of a folly, it becomes a personal approach. So everybody's from everywhere in the world, right? And in the participants that what we have, that we start on Monday, there's so many people from all over the world. So we wanna take everybody and basically create a thinking tank. But I want to hear everybody's ideas about what they want to create, what they want to design. And an architectural folly it's an instrument of that. It can reference history. It can reference a narrative. You can create a whole narrative. And by this idea of narrative and events of what happens in your folly, then your design starts to kind of take shape. And we're going to learn software, a lot of software. We're going to learn deep into Maya to create forms. And we're going to learn how to speak about that according to the narrative of each person. So I feel like everybody, I would also learn from them because I want to hear their ideas and what they want to promote. We're going to pick a site. Probably we'll take a place like New York or somewhere public, somewhere busy that we have in a model in 3D. And we're going to use that site to put our project and represent our project. And we're going to discuss ideas of the city, ideas of architecture. The folly doesn't really have a functionality, but it does have a series of narratives and events. Right. That this depends on each designer. So I'm here as you and I are here as professors, instructors, to give them a way of thinking and show them the technique. Yeah, I will show you technique. I will show you a lot of modeling techniques, also drawing techniques. We're going to go into representation issues. This is to create a whole project. So it's, in a way, it is a workshop, but I feel like I treat it more of a seminar. We're going to have a brief. We're going to see our schedule, a whole brief of kind of a little history about what a folly is. We're going to have some lectures. There's time, but time is compressed, but there's still time to discuss the architecture.
Yes, absolutely amazing. So since we have limited seats left, just wanted to mention that please find out more about this studio by going to our profile, clicking on the link on our bio. There's very limited seats left, and you can click and go into the details and register as soon as possible. In 24 hours, we're going to close the registrations, and we're starting on Monday. So if you're interested to read more details, go to our profile and click the link on the bio. And also, I see in the questions that Eric, students are asking if there will be any rendering program involving this studio, and if yes, which program or which software will be presented?
I feel like we can have a V-Ray we can use for Maya or Rhino. There's a few software programs that we can have. I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, I also can teach you how to use those things. Yes. It depends on what's available for everybody.
Yes, amazing.
Yeah. I also saw there's a comment. Sorry to interrupt you. I saw that Maya and Rhino, it says, are not easy for starting students, and that's a great point to bring up. And perhaps we didn't say it. I have taught Maya to people who have never opened Maya ever, first-year students, undergraduate students, and they come out with projects that you can't believe. So this is not an issue. The seminar and the workshops that we'll be teaching in the studio are designed to start from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in days. And I guarantee you that it is gonna be like that. I have done this too long it makes me even smile to think you can't think like that. Believe me, I understand opening the software. It's like, what am I gonna do with this?
Yes.
But I can show you from zero. You don't have to have any experience.
Yes.
That for Rhino as well.
Amazing. And they have to develop a project and present at the end of the studio, right? Because we're going to have kind of critics and...
Preferably, the plan is that they will present their projects, but I don't want people to get scared at this. I know people, they start to think, I can't speak and all that. And I get that. I understand that. One thing, maybe you don't have to turn on the camera, so you don't have to show a face. The other one is that, yeah, it would be great if you were to present our project, because we can get critics, conversations, and it's, if you're taking the seminar, you have to commit to present. This is what you also learn, because you have to learn how to speak about what you're designing, especially in this idea of parametric architectural digital design. You can't just make something and not speak without intellect. You have to have some ground about what you're presenting. And this is also a big part of the seminar. Big part of the seminar is that we will teach you how to think and how to speak about your project, how to speak about the technique you're using in a contemporary setting, right? In a setting that people can understand. And my experience goes way back. I have the techniques in my hands. I can tell you about it. So this is what would be fun, and I think you will learn most in a seminar like this.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And I see a couple of questions in here in the comments. I'm just going through them. What can you tell us about the eco-friendly side of your designs? Do you want to answer that? I don't know.
You know, to be honest, I'm all about eco-friendly, but I haven't had a chance to work on a project that is completely eco-friendly. So unfortunately, I'm not the expert for that, but I am aware of it, and we should all be aware of it.
Yes. Will the Maya skills we learned during the course translate well to Blender?
I believe they do, yes.
Yeah, okay, amazing. What kind of rig do you guys use for Rhino, 3ds Max, and V-Ray?
What kind of what?
I don't know what rig means.
Maybe like a rendering?
What kind of rig? Yeah, probably. So we're waiting for your next comment. Max, okay, just going through the questions. So how does parametric tools affect the way you think about design and its limitations?
That's a great question. I mean, how do they completely change the way you think, you know? They completely change the way you think. Because what you are designing, it's being translated through a process. And at the end, as I mentioned earlier today, it's architecture, it's a way of representation. So in order to represent your ideas, you use these tools, right? Technical tools, again, parametrical tools. No, let's not call parametrical tools. They're digital design tools, computational tools. Parametric is the intellect. Let's remember that.
Absolutely.
And then these tools, as you develop form or develop objects faster, right? And then you can represent them, then your mind starts to take different shapes as well. The limitations are embedded into what the project is trying to say. In a way, I wouldn't call a limitation as a negative thing. I think the limitation are more parameters. Let's call them parameters. The parameters that you have, the tools are infinite. The tools, there are no limitations to the tool. As an actual digital tool, you can design anything you want. But I think the idea is to put parameters in your design that the tools can help develop.
Amazing. And also a question from Coco. Coming from 3ds Max modeling, do you think it could be easy to move to Maya?
It is easy. Yes. It's a slightly different, but if you know 3D Max, then you can adapt very easy to Maya.
General question: is architecture as an industry nearing its end as automation of design takes over? What do
No,
you think on that?
no way. I mean, automation, are we thinking, what are we, I mean, you have to define automation, really.
Yes.
Let me just put it like this. I would probably talk about it in the sense that architecture is never going to end. There's no end to architecture because architecture is a way of thinking. It's an idea.
Yes.
It's an intellectual approach and conceptualization of an idea. That's what it is. So if you're saying that architecture would die, that means that ideas would die. And that's impossible.
Yeah, amazing. And just once again, to those of our audience who are asking about this studio, please go to on our profile on Instagram and click on the link in our bio, and you will find the information about Architectural Follies workshop by PAACADEMY, which Erick Carcamo will run his own studio in this workshop, and it's going to take 4 weeks, 2 days each week, 4 hours a day, and in total 32 hours of developing a project from an idea by using computational and Maya Rhino skills. Go to our profile, click on the link on our bio, and get the information and register as soon as possible because limited seats are left. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is also they need to know, why is it a month, right? Why is it 4 weeks? And the idea of this is because we want people to think through their ideas, right? Learn software, learn technique, understand why they're learning it, and then propose a project, and then we can develop that through time and iteration and learning more software, and learning more and learning more. This is a way of, it's like taking a studio here in the USA or in Europe. It's a design studio, and it takes a little time. So that's why we don't want to do a 2-day, 5-hour each day, kind of everything's together and you're like learning so much. It's not that type of seminar. Although you will learn probably more in this seminar, learn how to use Maya and Rhino more, because you have the time to kind of digest everything that is given. We'll be given this little by little throughout the whole seminar, every time that we meet. So it's important for people to know that it's a class that is going to take 4 weeks to develop.
Amazing, amazing.
I saw that there's a question, there's a comment here. It says, thanks, I visited the La Villette Park by Bernard Toomey, and it's a good example of a folly collection. I think that's for Coco Alessio. I think that's a perfect example for a folly. And if we can even look at that as an inspiration completely, I mean, we'll talk about all of this. We'll give lectures about what these things are. We're trying to set up maybe even people we can invite to give a lecture of an hour to speak about certain things, other professionals. So it's a conversation that we're going to have as well.
I'll do a lecture.
Of course.
Yeah. I'm inside the program. I'll do a lecture as well. So generally about computational and parametric design. But yes, the idea, I really like the idea of Foley as well. The topic topic is, as you mentioned, is amazing as well. Thank you. And just checking the questions. So hello there from Ethiopia. Well, wow. I want to study architecture. So what's your suggestion? Don't be an architect or these kind of suggestions. So what's your suggestion, Eric?
Don't be an architect, huh?
No, just joking.
I can answer it.
Yeah, go on. If you have any suggestions, go on.
No, I mean, I don't know. He's just saying don't be an architect. But...
Okay. A comment from Hector. A question from Hector. When do you estimate that parametric style will enter the construction industry mainstream? In other words, how long until it no longer is something boutique? So I think we have parametric design a lot in construction.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
agree. I think we're already there. We're already there, right? I think the idea of the boutique, we need this place. We need offices like this, like the boutiques, you know, because I mean, I worked for Asymptote Architecture for a few years, right? And I would consider that a boutique kind of architectural office. At the same time, boutique is nothing less, never lesser than any larger office. I feel when I was there, it was a way of thinking. It was literally like you're in academia, but with a serious project, right? With a serious budget, with a serious client. So I really enjoyed working in places like this because you can implement, this is all about thinking. And then obviously the representation and design skills that you need to have with your hands that you can learn throughout the years. This is the best way to represent those ideas. I also worked for Coop Himmelblau in Vienna.
Yes, with Wolf Pricks.
Wolf Pricks is Coop Himmelblau. And for me, working at these places, obviously I was younger finishing my studies. I was teaching as well in parallel to working at these places, but it really made me think completely different about what architecture is. Obviously understanding the way they think, the way they design, it's always great to know. And then taking that and moving along with my own practice. So for me, I have worked in, boutique places. I worked for Gensler as well, for about a year, 9 months before the pandemic. And that was also another amazing experience because of the people who work there, because of the projects that you have, and you can implement all this thinking in with your technique. So it really doesn't matter if it's what you want to call a boutique office or a technical office or a corporation office. I think it really what you want to make out of this. And architecture for me is it's the best way to intellectualize an idea. And this is why I like architecture.
Yes, amazing. There's a couple of questions as well. What's your opinion about how Fabricator can implement Maya model? It's a little bit tricky question.
I mean, it's kind of broad question, but I get it. I mean, maybe trying to imply that using Maya you cannot fabricate, but it's a misconception because using Maya you can fabricate everything. I mean, these are surfaces that can be exported. Maya, you're not going to need just Maya to construct. This is impossible.
Yes.
You will use Maya to design, to think, and then you're going to move it to a software and keep the integrity of that design from Maya into another software that allows for more fabrication process.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you need to somehow rationalize your model, surfaces, your meshes, and
look at cost, material.
Look at costs and make them calculable in order to. Structural engineer needs to calculate the load, everything. So when you're using the computational tools, this process becomes way easier than like working on a sketch or on a program that is not adapted to parametric tools. So when you're working with these tools, it's way more easier to bring it to a fabricator or fabricate or calculate the entire project in terms of structural engineering as well. So
yeah, I mean, this experience I can tell you firsthand. As I said, I worked for these larger offices, design offices that they build, and then the way that we designed, it was using Maya, using Rhino. And again, I say this software not because nobody's paying me to say I'm going to use Maya. No, this is not the case. I'm just simply telling everyone that this is just a tool that I use. Some people use other tools. This is just a tool. But if you're going to know that tool, you should learn how to intellectualize an architectural thinking and understand a process of design.
Absolutely. I see a comment in here as well. A1 Studio says, I find a problem when we are doing many workflows, we don't have a way to slow down and to explain this to your client. I face a reality that you scare companies when you show things it's too new for them. So he's talking about the new tools that are becoming inside the design platforms, and it scares the companies and both the clients. How they can deal with that?
This would always happen. This will always happen because you'll find clients who are, or companies who would be like, whoa, no, we cannot do that. That's going to be too expensive. Everybody looks at money, of course. And then you will find companies that they're going to say, let me see this. Let me figure this out. And let me see if I have a solution for you. I don't think it's a problem from the designer. I feel it's a problem of the industry or the people that you're surrounded by. I mean, they have been buildings that have been built already that I'm sure the companies were not scared. They were like trying to figure it out. I mean, this is the process of technology as well.
Yes.
I mean, look at Frank Gehry. Frank Gehry, had to develop their own software to create this, or collaborate with software companies to generate a software that can actually engineer their projects.
Yes.
So there's really, it's just kind of, there's not one rule.
Absolutely. And I see it's the problem of communication. If you would be able to convert those ideas in a more communicatable ways, I think clients would agree. Everybody would agree as well. But when you're not able to convey your ideas or the things that you've designed with these tools in a more communicatable way, they won't accept. They won't see it as a profitable investment as well. So
this happens with everything.
Yeah, everything.
You could use any other software, but if you don't know how to communicate that idea, they're not going to understand. So.
Yes, absolutely. So just wanted to mention one more time that if you want to get more information about this studio, Architectural Follies, run by Studio Erick Carcamo, just go to our profile, click on the link in our bio, and there's a lot of information there. Just limited seats are left, 24 hours until we close the registration. So who are your biggest influences in architecture, Eric?
Oh, man. Honestly, there's so many people. I could tell you names, but I feel like it's a collection of things. I think what influences me, it's looking at other people's work as well, right? Because many people don't understand. There's a lot of people in design, I feel, in my opinion, that they feel that they have to keep their design quiet and then they show the world and nobody wants people to copy them. And that's fair. But I also feel like if you're in design and architecture, especially here using these tools, you have to be open and show people how you do it. Because this should be a conversation about everybody, It cannot be about, I'm not going to show you how I did it. I feel like if you want to move the career farther or the thinking intellect farther, I think everybody has to kind of share. So going back to the question, there's so many people for me, many architects. Maybe there are some architects or offices, I don't like their work, but there's one project that I do like about them. You know what I mean? So you can't, what I really like is fashion design, car design.
Yeah, a lot integrated with architecture.
So I don't think it's about what architecture influences me. If we're talking about architectural space, not form, space, feeling inside a space, I can tell you I love Peter Zumthor's Vals, the baths in Switzerland. If you've ever been there or if you go, a spaces of architecture inside. It's a whole emotional response to those spaces. So there's so many, I can tell you, rooms and interiors that I have walked in, and that's inspirational for me. That maybe it's not even connected to the architecture. It's just embedded in there. I feel like architecture, it's not about only architects influence architects. That would be, nobody's like this. That would be
That would
completely
be
wrong.
boring. Yeah,
That
that
would be
would be
boring.
boring. Yeah.
And I like, as I said, fashion design. I feel like designers in fashion, they deal with different problems, but they deal with common problems of architecture because they need to talk about construction. They need to talk about fabrics, methods of putting together. That alone, it is architecture, you know? So you can't really say that architecture is a building. Architecture is about
Absolutely.
thinking, not about constructing. You have to understand that there are two ways of thinking.
Absolutely. Amazing. So as an architect, we get confused which program to use. A lot of programs. What's your advice? Engap asks.
My advice, you have to learn Rhino. Rhino. You have to learn Rhino.
Okay.
I mean, I can also tell you, you have to learn Maya. But if you want to be more prepared to be in school and in the workforce as a professional, you have to know Rhino.
Yeah.
You probably need to know Rhino before you know Maya, although we will be teaching both. And Maya is going to be the main tool to generate form. But this is an overall question, right? So you're asking me, I
Yes.
think, Rhino. I would learn Rhino before AutoCAD. I mean, Rhino is based on AutoCAD, but and
Amazing.
many more. But I think that one, Rhino, is essential.
Yeah,
And no,
amazing.
Rhino's not paying me to say this. No one is paying me to say that. I'm
This
saying
is
this
not
to
a
you.
promotional discussion.
No, I don't care. You go learn whatever you want. But I am telling you,
Yes.
Rhino would be the best tool for you.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much, Eric. And talking about advice for young generation of architects, students, what kind of advice would you like to share with them?
I think something that we already kind of touched here, need to know that architecture is not about construction yet. When you're in school, you are learning to think. You're learning to speak about things. You're learning to connect the history of architecture with the present and then the future. You have to learn how to think and speak about architecture in order, and then you learn the tools to represent your ideas. This is the most important and crucial part. Don't go to school to learn AutoCAD, to learn Rhino, so you can work at an office. You can learn that anywhere. You can learn that in YouTube. So you can't train yourself like this. You have to know that architecture is about thinking, not about construction. And then throughout the years of experience, you will understand how construction is embedded into design. Construction is a different side of architecture. And what we're
Absolutely.
trying to do is to create construction and thinking into a piece of architecture with a capital A, not architectural of just building something.
Yeah,
Architecture with a capital A has an intellect. It's parametric. Let's see it like that.
amazing. Love it. Yeah, that's a great point that you mentioned. We also in this studio, we're trying to bring small packages of the things that you're teaching in the university to fit in a 1 month program, and combining the architectural thinking ideas with the skill sets. Thank you. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Of
Thanks,
course.
Eric. Thanks for
Yeah, I
joining.
look forward to start, and this is really exciting. This is like
Yes.
starting a new semester.
Yes, a new semester. Yeah. See you on Monday. Thanks for joining. Do you have any final words to add?
No. I'll see you Monday.
Okay,
And
thank
if
you.
you get anybody have any questions, they can text me or text you.
Absolutely.
We're here to answer everything and keep going with the conversation. This is a lot of fun.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for
Of
joining.
course. Take care.
Goodbye. Bye. Take care. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching this live session. I hope you enjoyed it. Once again, for those of you who are interested to join this studio Erick Carcamo, Architectural Follies will start on Monday. If you're interested to join, please go to our profile, click on the link in our bio, and you can see more details, and also you can register. Limited seats are left. and in 24 hours we're closing the registrations. Thank you so much. We're gonna do interviews in forward weeks as well. So stay tuned with us. Till then, stay safe and stay healthy. Goodbye.